What I want to tell, one of my objectives. You see, I'm aging. By the time I started appearing on TV, I was a young man, but now I'm aging. So meaning that I should kind of set up some kind of keywords to the youths, especially the people who are supposed to give this, who are supposed to take over, and who are supposed to come in to take the strides who have been taking. And what I have to say here is that the youths have to know, or even politicians have to know, that if you want to communicate a mind, you should package it well. If you want to communicate, whatever you want to say, make sure you prepare, you kind of create avenues, or you create systems so that you can be perceived and understood. I've had situations, more especially in politics, especially for the young people. If someone comes up and says, "Come seven or yom seven, kanokachi, kanoka gundi," you know. If you start at that note, then you are failing immediately. You have to, as someone who has been raised well from good families, who has been groomed well, you know, whatever you do now as a young person, tells us what type of parentage you had. Were you raised by parents? Were you raised by animals? Were you raised by absent parents? So there are words which will come out of you, and you will definitely know that you are this type of person. You know, young people, I think there's a saying that if you go through that age without becoming lame or dying, then you should thank God, because you have a lot of energy, you have a lot of unused energy, you have your perception of issues and things is kind of so much driven by your inexperience. So in the process, you believe that if you abuse, then you take a step. If you call someone names, then you call this. But look at Gandhi. Gandhi communicated his ideas so well, and his legacy may never be forgotten. But what did Gandhi do? Gandhi had ways of approach. Gandhi designed a program, a movement that nobody has even challenged. We have had the Marxists, we have had the what and the what, but Gandhi's tolerance and simplicity digs deeper into every person's life. So we have the youths, and we have even the soldiers, even the askaris, even those guys who are authorized to use force in case of a situation are young people. So I've been telling the commanders here and there that please, when you're giving orders to your commanders, young people, just make sure you know they are young and they have not experienced a lot. I've seen young men going on the killing people, like mob justice. To them, they don't know what it means. But if I'm to take you through my 40 years of investigation, I know that I've not seen someone who takes innocent blood, or who takes blood is aging gracefully like you see me aging. Meaning I've not taken blood. So this is what I'm saying with young people. Blood is something alive. Blood has life. But you're taking of that of your human being, be very sure that you'll be accountable, and it's a kind of a continuous program with God. It's like, I'm telling you, people, if you think that life is something like that, God created man, and God gave him the life, and it is out of his blood that life lives. So if you take away that life, you should be accountable. And this is what I tell the young people. Be very careful when you're dealing with anything to kill enemy, to deal with blood. Some of us walk freely just because we are helped by our parents, and we are told that as much as you feel like you're very strong, you know this and the other, you have a gun and you do.
We have an issue of gun violence. Now, we have security officers who prefer to shoot to kill these particular offenders. What my first question would be, aren't there any clean shots that do not kill a person but rather harm them enough for them to get to court? Must these people shoot to kill, even if they are licensed, these security officers, must they shoot to kill? Is it okay for us to have security officers shooting people to kill, even when they are criminals?
You know, rifles, more especially the handguns, they are called assault rifles. They are supposed to be for assault, meaning they're supposed to be for containing. But still, it's like with a knife, or even a stick. You can kill using a stick. So depending on how experienced and depending on what one who shoots has in mind, I think the guns we have can be used to surgically aim, kind of maim or kind of incapacitate. Of course, yes, there are several other weapons like tasers, which use electricity, or which use, but depending on if you have to use a taser, then you're using it maybe on someone who is maybe barehanded, who does not maybe have a weapon, that turns out a threat on you. Or maybe it is during the day that you're very sure that this person does not have another lethal weapon hidden under his coat. So the situations are very different, and we have to look at every situation in its own, on its own, because yes, if you have a gun, if you're given a gun, we call it service weapons. If a soldier, if a policeman has a service weapon, that gun is for purposes of making sure, one, it protects his life. The gun, whoever carries a gun, the first objective is that he is protected. Then after being protected, then he can protect other people. So meaning that the use of a gun is not far-fetched. A gun can be used. That's why they're given live bullets. Of course, there are some rubber bullets can be used there during riots. I think we should be having very few here now. And you have seen some people, of course, a rubber bullet is equivalent to almost a stone thrown by 10 men. So meaning that can also kill.
Oh.
Yes. If it gets you on a bad nerve, it can pluck out your eye, it can maim you, because it is a discharge. It's like it bears some bit of force, only that is not shaped to penetrate the body, but can still tear your body. Yes, so we have to be very careful, those who carry the guns and those who face people carrying guns, because depending on the panic, a person can, if you know, there should be a justification. If someone is going to fire, if someone is going to shoot, he should definitely believe that, one, that is no longer safe, two, that the other person has defied all the orders, meaning that if you have to, before you to, there are cases where you're supposed to warn your target and ask him to back off. There are times when you have to warn him, maybe even if he's carrying a gun, sometimes you have to tell him to put down his gun. Think of a situation that you approach a home where someone has a gun legally, but maybe is annoyed with his wife and is walking around in his compound with a gun. You don't just put him out. You tell him that, listen, I'm a policeman, I'm a security officer, could you please put down your gun so that we can talk. And you also, of course, warn him not to point the gun at you, because pointing the gun at you may just take 1 second before he shoots you. So the circumstances are very different, and we have to look at all this.
Okay, and the use of tear gas and other lethal material, is it necessary for the security forces to spray tear gas in the midst of very many people, a crowd that has gathered, maybe politically, and is trying to, according to them, cause commotion? What kind of cases must we, or must security forces use things like tear gas? Is it every time? Is it necessary every time?
What I've seen in this country, possibly, maybe now that a few things are being portrayed in police, maybe this can be addressed. I've seen a situation where some young police officers provoke the public into aggression, into some kind of activity. You know, as a young person, I've gone through all systems, and I'm telling you, as a young person, there is nothing as good as chasing rioters. As a young person, there is that excitement and sometimes I've seen policemen, you know, like I said, we are dealing with young men who possibly have done their training for 9 years or so, and they have never exercised. And they're in a team, they're a group. Maybe you have a section of men, maybe you have 50 men or 100 men. They want to see what happens with what they carry. So I warn the public that be very careful, that you may come across a young man who has never possibly used anything like canister. He has never possibly shot someone. He also wants to see. Yes, he has been carrying a gun for over 2 years, and he has never maybe opened fire, and he's excited. He literally wants to discover. He wants to probe. So he may probe it on you, and in the process you lose your life. Yes, it happens. So we have to be very careful. Secondly, there are areas whereby when you're dealing with a riot, you should start slowly. You should appear to have calm and peace. If you start in fights, if you start in chases, if you start in engagements, then you are literally starting war. It would be that you start with warnings. it will be that you start with, most especially with police. That's not, it's not the use of force should be the very, very last. There should be that engagement, there should be talks, there should be warnings. You should tell people, because if you start beating, you maybe even beat those who do not know what is happening. But if you tell them to stay clear, you have speakers, you have cameras for purposes of picking whatever is happening, even on yourself. So in the process, it becomes very easy for you to manage. Now, by the time a riot breaks out into a fight or into an escalated kind of war, that means that now the use of force has to come on the forefront. And at that stage now, it's a fight. I've also told, even I've been telling journalists that sometimes they go beyond too far. They go in an area whereby canisters are being exchanged, stones are being exchanged. So in the process, I've not seen a journalist saying that maybe someone stoned me. When they come out bleeding, they say, they hit me. Sometimes they're hit by stones, flying stones, because a fight is a fight. A fight, there are no rules when you're fighting. Immediately, situation turns out into a fight. Then don't expect laws, don't expect regulations. We used to say, like as young people used to say, okulwana tukwenda mateka. I can bite you, I can do anything because I want to win the war. Now in the process, once it is an engagement, then it becomes funny. Yes. Okay,
and from an investigator's point of view, what is a peaceful demonstration? How can we carry out a peaceful demonstration if we want to do so? Because even when it's claimed to be peaceful, at the end of the day, we always see security forces coming in.
There are two things here. One is that most of our demonstrators, because they want numbers, they are joined by hooligans. Those people they have no control over. So in the process, as the peaceful others are peaceful demonstrating, others are picking phones, others are taking people's pork, others are taking people's this. So in the process, it turns out into a fight. But at the same time, also we have to know that with a peaceful demonstration, what I've not seen, what I don't like, I have to be very realistic here, that I've seen the police sometimes even interfering with very peaceful demonstrations. I've seen the police sometimes getting even political, that if it is NRM and the NRM is doing something, they totally support it. If maybe opposition or another person, then they have to come in and they appear to be working a lot. Can we build a nation? Can we, let's not build a sectarian nation. We have to build a nation that we need, that will take us through our old age and protect us as even we get weaker and weaker. So I think that they have seen many peaceful demonstrations, of course, which have been disrupted and confused by the police. Okay. So I think there should be a regulation about what it should be. Two, but it's, of course, I'm happy that at a few times, I may count a few numbers, we have seen the police also demobilizing NRM members when they have come out, but these are very few times. So I think we can do better than that.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. You talked about creations of systems that are sufficient as a country. What did you mean? Can you expound on the creation of systems that will better the security in Uganda generally?
Yeah, like of course, security has to appear to be parental, has to appear to be balanced and not segregative. That's a system. We should have a kind of a fairly light system, because you remember, if we are to squeeze one team and then allow the other team, that imbalance will not be senior, but it will go and boil down into the youths, and that's why in the process they become very unruly, because we're supposed to tell these young people that yes, this nation is yours, anytime you'll have it, or you as the young people, but these are the norms. This is how you're going to lead a nation. A nation is not led by force. A nation is not led by hypocrisy. There should be truthfulness. When you say that nobody should cross here, let nobody cross. Don't say it is only the house girl who should not cross, but my son can cross. There should be everybody should be a child of the nation. So if we have to teach these young people that we respect them. Okay. If you want to respect in your house, first of all, respect your children, and then teach. That's how you can best teach them how to respect you. So sometimes, yes, our youths, we have been there to tell them that you are just be in order, but we should also demonstrate to them that being in order is natural. Being in order is necessary.
Okay.
Yeah.
The level of peace in Uganda is good compared to other nations. Maybe if we look at Israeli-Hamas war, how can we continue to have that and maybe avoid a situation where we are going to be at war with not only our neighbors but even with ourselves as a nation in this political season?
Now we have to be very careful about how we approach issues. We should know that where there is a reaction, there is some kind of repulsor. If you want a good repulsor, do a good thing. If you want to push hard, then you'll be pushed back. There is that kind of recoil force in everything. We call it a recoil force with arms, because if you fire, the gun will push you back a bit. There's that kind of force that can push you back. So we are saying that whatever we do, can we be balanced? If like I'll so much talk about the youths, if we are to develop a team that will take us on, we are supposed to be very, very systematic on policies, on approach, on methods, and on systems. Let's just make sure that whatever I do is tested. Someone shouldn't wake up from his bed like, look at what is happening on the roads. Every car that has a government number like has a right of way. You know, you see a UD, you a UK, UC, anything, they like have a right of way. Any vehicle where there is a soldier in camouflage has a right of way. You know, this is primitivity. Why do we allow this? How are we going to tell the young people that a sane, civilized person has to drive this way when government officers are literally very, very indisciplined? And you just say, where is the Minister of Works? Where is the Minister of Internal Affairs? What are they doing? Should we have that kind of anarchy that any vehicle with a government number plates can do whatever they want? Now we are saying, if you work with the government, you can do everything you want. But I'm telling you, this will be short-lived. There should be systems, there should be discipline.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. There are some, since we're talking to the young people and the youth, there are these youth who actually would sacrifice their lives for their political leader. For them, they are willing to even die as long as they have showed that they are behind the back of their political leader. And maybe as a person who has dealt with the youth a lot, you could throw in a word or two for them and tell them how it's not worth it for them to lose their life over a political.
You know what, we can be fairly surgical here. We are saying that the young people should know. Let them go to Luwero. You hear those war veterans, they are crying, we fought with him 7, we touched him, we did ABCD, and we have nothing to eat. You know, revolution, when there's a revolution, it eats its own children. It sucks the breasts of its own people. You know, if you are to sustain a revolution with your blood and your legs and your hands, so it be. That is the cost, and never demand and never cry one day when whoever you're supporting is in power that he never paid you because you did not specify your fees. You have to be very careful. If you want to enjoy a regime you want to come up, then be very careful. Try as much as you can to preserve your eyes, to preserve your legs, to preserve your body, because you are possibly a parent. Many of them are young parents. Now, nobody will feed your family. Nobody. I'm telling you. I think I've seen Museveni trying so much to look after the war, these guys who are affected by the war, those who contributed cows, money and whatever. But he cannot do to all of them. Uganda has so many people. Yes. Now, you may be one of those who may never even be remembered. Not because the regimes are bad, but you know, a country has a lot of challenges. When someone takes power, there are so many things. There are so many changes. When you say, Musaja, I used to do this. I used to give him water. That's yours. That was your contribution. Now, if you can see veterans, if you can see those who fought in Luwero, if you can see those who still say, why you this, we gave the other, and they're still crying, just be very careful. That whoever you want to be in power, you have to also put in reason, put some kind of wisdom in whatever you are doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Before we go for a break, 2024 had a number of security issues. We had the terror threats, we had a little bit of murders here and there, and I just want you to, in a nutshell, analyze 2024 in terms of security before we get to what we expect in 2025.
Of course, 2024 partly was under a different IGP, and they were now under different IGP. What I could read from the former IGP, Mr. Chola, was like his last term of possibly a year or so was like a resigned person. It's like he was not as active, and in the process, many systems kind of collapsed. You'd find a DPC superintending over an area where there is thuggery and he cannot even do anything about it. I'm happy that from the time Biakagawa came in, I'm seeing a lot of positive, though not the best, but I'm seeing a lot of positive changes.
Okay.
I can feel that now there's somebody in charge. And you know, police is about policing and so many other things, because it is the duty of police to keep law and order.
Yes.
The army comes in occasionally, and you know, the army is not literally trained to handle domestic security. When they come in, they are ruffians. They can handle you. If you say army, run away, because theirs is not to to discuss your nonsense with them.
Yes.
Police can take nonsense because police are trained to have soft gloves. They're mothers.
Yeah.
Soldiers, UPDF, give them space. When they come up, give them space. Okay. So what I'm saying is that I could see that, you know, you need a strong police to manage a nation, more especially the domestic life. Whether the army comes in without tanks, the army is not hand-trained. They have some basic small courses here and there, but the duty to handle Mwananchi, because when you're handling Mwananchi, you need him. You cannot destroy him, but you can punish him, orient him, and then so that you allow him space to reform. The army doesn't have all that space to reform people. So that's why I'm saying that it should be more of police and less of the army. So in this case, like I said, there was that kind of laxity which allowed space to criminals. Criminals have built very sophisticated, they have built their own intelligence, they have built their own capacities, they have built their own mobilities. Now, we are looking at platoons. A platoon is like 20 to 50 persons. Today, if there is an invasion in the village, you are dealing with 50 people. Yes, you are dealing with 20 to 50. And they are mobile. They can move like you talk about 50 robbers can move. They can use 15 motorcycles to be deployed and to pull off. They sometimes even move with vehicles following them for loading whatever they would have picked. They have there was a section which had killer dogs, meaning they could send in their dog to neutralize your dogs. So even dogs became useless, meaning if they sent in the killer dog, it will even disarm an armed person. Now, if we had reached that level, and I think I thank the police and the sister forces. They have done some good job, more especially for the last 6 months. We can see, because we know what they're facing, and we know that we can see that they're trying their level best. Yes, I believe they have done a good job. Okay. And I believe that, if you don't see my face often, then you know there's some bit of peace.
Yeah.
If you don't see my face often, you know there's some bit of peace, and I have nothing to talk about. Okay. I'm not here, like I've said, communication is very important. I want to applaud the police for what they are doing, and of course, where I believe there is some kind of change, we have to deal with that. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Let's take a very short break. We are going to come back and look at the improvement on intelligence, how exactly government can improve its intelligence to make sure that terror threats, criminals, and all these other things can be curbed. However, right now we go for a short break. We return with more. Don't go away.
Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission. Issues at hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
Okay. Hello, welcome back to Issues at Hand. Thank you so much for being a part of Church of Uganda Family TV. And of course, we are here with Mr. Egesa discussing security and analyzing the issues that are pertinent to this area of our lives. Now, remember, security is very, very important because it is from it where we get peace as a nation, and you are able to sleep at night, wake up and go to your office peacefully, go back home, take your children to school. By the way, we're talking about schools. Do you think the security in schools has improved compared to the time when we had food poisoning and all that?
I would say yes, because maybe we have not had incidents. But I will say no, because that part of security, like even school security should be like it is handled under the PSO, these private security organizations. Of course, we have not come up with a kind of regulated salary for these what we call the local carries, and anybody can give them anything. Others give them posho, others give them 50, others give them 100, and they expect them to keep lives. There should be standardized kind of starting point on salaries so that they feel like they enjoy their jobs. These guys. We have taken private security as a kind of a last resort. Someone goes there just because he cannot go any other place. Any other place. Maybe he has been a veteran. He's used to a gun. Now they give him a stick. He's there, but his thoughts are somewhere else.
Yeah.
Now, as long as someone is not fortified at his job, don't expect so much. Yes, you find that a school, a big school, maybe has so many. But of course, some of them have become thieves. Some of them are helping illiterate children to steal books and sell them outside there because now they want to survive. Anybody in an area where a security person has to survive, then the risk is terrible.
Okay.
So that's why I say. Sometimes they join the matrons of school in schools to ask for kitu kidogo or something small. They even identify the parents by their children. They say, Mama Gundi, I want something. Mama Gundi, it's me who looks after your boy, because they are struggling to survive. Now, any bad person can infiltrate such a systems. So as far as I'm concerned, I think it should be a matter that should be taken up seriously. That we get to know a guard should be well paid. If you pay him well, if you look after him well, there should be a standard kind of starting point of salary and payments and maybe allowances that make him comfortable, because he cannot look after your good children when his child maybe has even been chased away for school fees. So that one, we have to look at it in that way.
Okay. How about if we get to the point of cybercrime and how exactly we can harness the situation and make it better? Cybercrime has caused a lot of pain where scammers are on the rise, but they cannot be found even when there's an investigation. Recently, some of them were found here in Webaja, a group of scammers staying in a house, and they were scamming people. And I don't know how your advice, what your advice would be.
Sorry.
It is okay.
Sorry. It is now jammed. I'm so sorry.
No, it is okay. It is very, very okay.
Please, sorry.
It is okay.
Yes.
So, cybercrime, your thoughts on how to handle?
It's what I'm saying. In this case, let me just get this soft thing. It's really killing me. Help me. You can switch it off. Now, what I'm saying is this: cybercrime is part of development. When we are developing, there are several things that come up that we have to go with. Like when the Mzungu brought in a gun, it brought about better security, but at the same time, it became a threat somewhere else. Now with cybers, we have to live with it.
Okay.
We can now have cyber wars. You can just touch one button and the pistol is raised using something, and then it comes to my house, put shot without even the involvement of a being. Now we have gone to that level, yes. So we're talking about a world we are dealing with, which is much more sophisticated. And even as we are using all these good things to develop the nation, we should get to know and we should be very prepared about investing. Government has to invest in anti-cyber programs. We have to help people. The government has to teach. Like we have to invest, we have to send many young people to go and understand, because some of these things are deliberate. Some of these things are done by nations. There are nations that believe that if you come to Uganda, you scam, you do this and the other, you can carry so much, you can even carry much out of their treasury without their knowledge. They sell us these systems, and we cannot do without the systems. So meaning that we have to invest much more in cyber detection and in crime detection in that line. But at the same time also, just coming back to our ground here, how can one home have over 15 or 20 people who keep on coming in and out? And in that area we have investigators, we have ISO, we have ESO, we have police deploy, we have some kind of network that is meant to pick intelligence. How come that such a things can go on forever? You may ask a question, you lose your phone today, and before 1 hour, there is no money. Who tells these people your password? So meaning that even in communication houses, there is a very likelihood that they have engineers who are criminals themselves.
Yeah.
So much of, by the way, I heard that much of this hacking and whatever was mainly started by several students in universities. So we are dealing with a brain which is now being loaded with knowledge to use it negatively. And it depends on how you build your intelligence. We can still build our simple intelligence to curb or whatever is happening. It has to be, we are supposed to raise cadres that will deal with that are sent to read for purposes of countering on cyber. Every country, everywhere. You see, look at Israel. Israel is very far ahead of several wars just because they have literally developed that cyber thing. They have kind of tried their level best to make sure that they have the best students. They are doing a lot of research. Now in Uganda here, it is one of the things we are not even bothered so much about. Of course, the president is very interested with like in dealing with engineers and whatever. But I wonder if cyber investigation and cyber study has been given priority. Yes, and yet if we don't do that, we will find that they may sell you a tank, and the tank is a vehicle used in war, and someone switches it off using a button. He just touches his computer and it's off.
Yeah.
He'll just start to see which type, which make, the programs, what is there, two, 3 buttons, the tank stops. What will you do? So we may go to that level. You remember what Israel did when they kind of they bugged the systems. Now all the walkie-talkies which were being carried by Hezbollah were blown. They used to be so that's how far we have gone with the cyber system. It can be now here they are only carrying money. One day it will be used to stop cars. One day, the other time they can fool this or they can fool the other, because it's a living thing now. So we have to be very, very careful.
Okay.
Yeah.
And government improvement on intelligence. How do you think government is doing in their intelligence area? Not only cyber-wise, but intelligence as a whole, to keep on protecting the country, keep on harnessing security. Just basically comment about intelligence.
They are doing there is improvement. We commend them, but at the same time, maybe what I may want to caution government, more especially the officers who are dealing with intelligence, is they should reduce on the what we call the rogues. Rogues in intelligence are people who are not literally fully operational people, but who don't even have other jobs. Now, a person of that nature, they should try to identify good citizens, people who are doing meaningful jobs, or they should train such a people to do something. You know, if someone comes in police or military as an informer, it becomes a job. So once it becomes a job, then he may even use that information to and from. He may inform on the police, but at the same time, he may inform on the criminals, but he can also inform on the system itself. Now, I've seen very many undescribable young men hanging around police stations, hanging around offices of intelligence. When there's an offense, you look at them, they're in sandals, they are literally a sight, but you look at them, they're even hungry. Now, you don't expect the best job out of such a people. So the state intelligence houses should reduce on rogues. We call them rogues. People who are not really very well. You can build very good intelligence using wananchi, but it should be those people who you believe have a stake. A person who has nowhere to stay, a person who is literally living on subsistence, may have a problem doing good intelligence, may have a problem supporting good intelligence. So they can, for those they believe have done very good job, yes, let them improve their welfare. Let there be a situation they are paid well. But if they don't pay them well, then they'll be bringing false information. Two, they'll also intimidate criminals and use them to extort.
Oh, okay. Interesting. And if we look at 2025, we are expecting a lot of things, especially party primaries. We have campaigns. And maybe if you could give in a word of advice for the country to remain peaceful. Usually there's a lot of chaos during party primaries, a lot of chaos during campaigns, a lot of chaos during scuffles where maybe members of opposing parties meet each other somewhere, and all of a sudden there's an eruption of a scuffle from nowhere. I don't know how we can handle that.
I'll say this to the police, and more especially to the IGP. Most of the reactions that painted Ugandans black were as a result of poor command and control of the police, because the soldiers will come in when they believe that the police has been weakened, they are forced to come in. It's like a father in the house. When mothers fighting with his babies, it is normal. Fathers will always bypass. But when you see the child has now turned and it's like the mother is running away from the child, then the father has to come in. Yeah. I would literally discourage soldiers jumping in, and sometimes they may not possibly just keep on, just because. But usually it is because sometimes the police has opened up and allowed that type of space. The police should appear to be in charge. The police should appear to be in charge. The police should appear to manage their own duty and assignment, which is keeping law and order. Okay. When the soldiers come in, they should also fall under the command of the police. When the soldiers jump in and they are now in charge, that means we are dealing with the war, we are dealing with chaos. So there should be systems of how the police will be dealing with these things. Now, some of the areas, there are times I've always thought that there may be some kind of collaboration. There could be before. I don't know what's happening now, because you would see a situation where a policeman jumps into a situation, then there is a fight, there is embarrassing situations, or whatever we are doing is being thrown on the international scene, and it's like nobody's caring about what people will perceive Uganda to be. So what I'm saying is this: I think we need a firm IGP with a firm team to manage and deal with the situation. I'm happy about what happened during these festive seasons. Policemen have been filling prisons, cells with suspects. I heard recently there was an order, unless otherwise, let arrests be minimal. Let's arrest be minimal, because you're not taking someone to, the judges have gone for Christmas, you are filling police cells, you are giving bonds, you are extorting money. Now, I heard that there was an order that if you are to arrest someone, you have to account for him. Now, that kind of sanity is coming back into a situation of saying, if someone is a robber, fine, you have to arrest him. But if maybe someone has quarreled with another and maybe there is threatening violence and you can caution them, where do you feel yourselves so that you get more police bonds? Now, some of the things that kind of ignite mobs, problems around elections are because of how the police reacts towards the people. And all the young people who want political capital know that. So they go, he looks at people. You have seen police, I saw policemen in Kenya. Young people would even want to touch their eyes and you'd see they are very contained, they are very, very kind of behaved. We can kind of take on that. 2, let the policemen be, I know we can afford, let them be given body cameras. So that whoever is attacking him is known, is seen, then the law can take course later. But even if when the policeman misbehaves, it should also go in the command center that this one is misbehaving. There should be that kind of situation. Lastly, we should literally desist from numberless cars. These you call them what? Kamunye, drones, which plied the whole country, because some of the drones could even be for very bad motives. We lost several people who maybe we cannot account for now, just because there was that kind of erratism of operation. There should be we should have objectives, and we should know that we're not at war. When these young men come in and they are behaving in a very bad way, we should know that they're not bandits, but they are politically charged young people. Yes, handling them, we shouldn't say that we should just give them sweets. The state can handle them, but appropriately, for purposes of making sure we continue to go ahead.
Okay.
Yep.
Now, there is this issue of framing that is trending, where somebody is framed for something that they did not do. How can one get out of that situation? What is the easiest way to investigate and know that this person surely did not do what they are accused of being accused of doing?
I had a case in Old Kampala recently. I was not very happy about it because I partly supported the investigation. There was a shooting in Bakuli, and what the person who was shot was my relative. So I within like 20 minutes I was at the scene, and a few things were done, and a lot of things were done. But when the file went to the state attorney, this time I'm really trying to exonerate the DPP's office. The investigating officer, whose name I know, had removed a lot of information from the file, so that by the time this file went to the state, even the state couldn't know what charge to prefer, so that the complainant had to follow to the state. Now that means that we have some police investigators who sell information off the file, and that is very dangerous, because this was a shooting. Someone pulled a pistol and fired. Now, that is very dangerous, but you find that a lot of useful information which had been availed. I have told you that I gave them support for 24 hours, meaning that I made sure everything is availed for purposes of a proper decision. Now, meaning that some state attorneys have had a problem, that the policemen, some rogue policemen, always sometimes send files with some information removed. That's terrible for this nation. Because at the end of the day, then what? The state attorney will prefer charges or will delay to take action, or so many other things. So what we are saying is this: let's try to deal with the nation. I think if a case like that has been taken, let the investigations be done. 2, if you have people, there are many people in Luzira who have just been flamed because of one reason or the other. Now, that one still goes to intelligence, because you may never clean the minds of human beings, but you have to control and manage them. In our own days, we used to have special branch. We could pick as much information, though there are so many people who were in police and they had never even put on uniform. They are just agents. They had been trained from other police from other countries and allowed to be in. Now, policemen wouldn't even know that these people were dealing. You would deal with a man selling in a market, but he's an inspector of police. Yes, you deal with a man. Sometimes they would be sent in a Luzira as if they are criminals, and they would pick all the information the government
Wow.
wanted. They would be like, they come back, they are allowed to start small shops in every location. You are dealing with the very, very highly trained investigators, but within yourselves.
Wow.
Now, that has died out. We want to look at people who say that, oh, that one is a beggar, that one is a whatever. He uses a pistol to open his beer in a bar, and we believe we are working. So I think we have to rebuild our earlier systems of good intelligence.
Thank you very much. Maybe your last words as we wrap up the show.
Yeah, what I'm saying is this nation is for all of us. I've had this, the fights that there's a lot of fight of words everywhere, here and there. But we should know that if you're an eye, I'm the ear. Then one is a hand, another one is a leg. If you're fighting, like you've had Parliament and CDF exchanging words, one should know that one is an eye and another one is a nose. If you close the eyes, then be very sure that the legs will not move. If you close the ears, be very sure that you'll be attacked and you'll be destroyed, because you're part and parcel of each other. We need each other. Let there be tolerance, and let's have the best words. Let the young people also get to know that communication is the biggest weapon we can use to safeguard this nation.
Thank you very much, Fred Egesa, for giving us your time yet again. Please do note that he is a security analyst, and these issues are very, very pertinent to our society. My name is Carol. Thank you so much for being a part of Issues at Hand, and because of time, we would like to end the show here. We are powered by Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe, and of course, until tomorrow, we will be having very many other discussions, very many other programs, so you ought not to change the channel. Otherwise, from the production crew and myself, it is a good morning.
Issues at Hand, powered by
Protea Hotel by Marriott Entebbe. Comfort and luxury at its best.
This is Church of Uganda Family TV. Enriching lives. Regulated by the Uganda Communications Commission.